She who walks alone is likely to find herself in places no one has ever been. Why do Sigma females never follow the crowd, especially the sharpest among them? Because the crowd doesn't move with clarity. It moves with noise. Sigma ladies, this isn't just another strong woman video. This is for those of you who don't just stand out. You opt out from groupthink, from performance, from the pressure to perform femininity on cue. In this world that thrives on conformity, where the masses follow trends, chase attention, and cling to digital validation, the Sigma female is an anomaly. She doesn't rebel with chaos, she disrupts with silence. She doesn't try to impress, she builds, she watches, she calculates. And when she moves, it's deliberate, it's sharp, it's undeniable. Today we're unlocking exactly why the Sigma mind refuses the herd. Why she thinks differently, chooses differently, and rises differently. You're about to see what truly separates the wanderers from the system breakers. So if you're tired of the same recycled content about boss babes and glow-ups, this is your space. This is your mindset gym. This is the Sigma Lady channel. Hit subscribe right now if you're not here to be average. You're here to be awake. And if you'd like to fuel this energy, this mission, this unapologetic voice, I'd love your support on Buy Me a Coffee. Link is in the description and the first pinned comment. Let's talk about why we walk alone and why that's exactly our power. 1. Echo chamber. Detoxers. Sigma females are not built to echo back what they hear. They're not parrots in social cages. They're architects of independent thought. While most people seek confirmation, Sigma women seek contradiction. They don't just want to be right, they want to be accurate. That difference alone takes them far from the herd mentality. In today's world, everyone is shouting. Trends, opinions, politics, outrage. It's all loud and repetitive. But a Sigma female's mind is like a filtration system. She doesn't just accept ideas because they're popular or because they're shouted by influencers. She pauses, she digs, she challenges the norm. If something sounds like it's been said 1,000 times, she immediately suspects it's worth inspecting. This detox mentality extends to social media, relationships, and even news. She asks, who benefits from me believing this? Is this truly my thought, or is it an implant from the digital world? That level of self-auditing is rare and powerful. This is why Sigma females often feel out of place in group conversations. While everyone else nods and agrees, she's sitting silently, sensing the holes in the logic. She's not trying to be a contrarian, she's just not hypnotized by noise. Her refusal to participate in echo chambers gives her clarity. It helps her form beliefs that are stable, rooted, and resistant to emotional manipulation. While the crowd chases the next controversy or trend, she's quietly mastering her own mind. 2. Trend resistance isn't a phase. For most people, trends are like gravity, unavoidable. But for Sigma females, trends are more like a fog. They obscure, distract, and dilute the self. Sigma ladies walk above the fog. Not because they're better, but because they've trained themselves to see through it. Following trends often stems from insecurity. It's a way of fitting in without having to do the work of self-definition. But Sigma females aren't built for copy-paste living. They crave originality, not because it looks cool, but because it feels true. They reject the algorithmic tastemakers. They don't need social approval to validate their wardrobe, music, career, or lifestyle. They define what's cool on their own terms. This makes them misunderstood. People often label them as aloof or different, and they are, but not in a try-hard way, in a deliberate way. Every Sigma female has gone through the silent phase of rejecting something everyone else seemed to love. And that rejection wasn't rebellion, it was alignment. She's not trying to be a hipster. She's not allergic to popularity. She just doesn't let it dictate her identity. That's why her energy feels so refreshing. She's a reminder that you can be interesting without being trendy. You can be smart without being loud. You can be stylish without copying a Pinterest board. Trends come and go. Sigma females stay rooted. 3. Packless but not powerless. The lone wolf image is often romanticized, but Sigma females don't isolate for aesthetic. They walk alone because it's efficient, because when you're not distracted by drama, people-pleasing, and groupthink, you get things done. This doesn't mean Sigma women hate people. On the contrary, they often love deeply. But they choose connections based on alignment, not availability. They don't keep people around just to fill space. That's why their circles are small, but strong. Not running in packs doesn't make them weak, it makes them selective. A Sigma female doesn't collect friendships like badges. She builds alliances, slowly, intentionally, with people who respect her boundaries and match her values. This packless power gives her freedom. She moves when she wants, creates what she wants, and makes decisions without asking for a vote. That kind of autonomy is rare, and it makes her a threat to systems that rely on obedience. In groups, Sigma females are often the ones who don't speak first, but when they do, everyone listens. Because they haven't been talking to impress, they've been observing, analyzing, storing energy for impact. While others gain strength in numbers, she builds strength in solitude. Her confidence is not performance, it's preparation. Every moment spent alone is a moment spent sharpening the mind, healing the heart, or crafting a vision. She doesn't need a crowd to feel valid. She's already voted for herself, and that vote is permanent. 4. Unmarketable by design. Sigma females are the marketer's worst nightmare, and that's a compliment. In a world engineered to make people feel insufficient unless they buy something, Sigma women are immune. They don't chase trends, products, or lifestyles. They know the game, and they've chosen not to play it. They can't be easily categorized. Not a minimalist, not a maximalist, not boss babe, not soft girl, not alpha queen. They exist in their own category, one that hasn't been labeled yet, because they're too busy living it to brand it. Advertisers rely on patterns, predictable behaviors, but Sigma females make decisions based on internal logic. Before buying something, they ask themselves, do I need this, or was I just emotionally manipulated into thinking I do? That self-awareness is a shield. Even in relationships and social roles, they're not easy to market to. They won't be guilt-tripped into conformity or emotionally coerced into roles that don't align. They trust their instincts more than commercials, more than influencers, more than cultural scripts. This isn't about being rebellious for rebellion's sake. It's about being intentional. The Sigma female refuses to be sold a version of herself that wasn't authored by her. In a hyper-curated digital age where identity is packaged and sold, she remains unbranded, and that's her edge. She may use tools of the mainstream, but she never becomes its product. Her aesthetic, her choices, even her silence, are all self-coded. That makes her stand out, not loudly, but undeniably. 5. Mental bandwidth protectors. A Sigma female knows that her attention is currency, not metaphorically, literally. Every scroll, every swipe, every drama-filled message costs her focus. And she's not paying that price unless the return is worth it. She guards her mental bandwidth like it's sacred. While most people spend their day reacting to messages, notifications, distractions, she builds invisible walls. This isn't detachment, it's discipline. She doesn't respond just because someone expects her to. She responds if it's aligned with her energy, her time, and her priorities. She limits inputs. That might mean not watching the news every day, muting certain conversations, or even taking long digital detoxes. It might look extreme to outsiders, but to her, it's survival. Because clarity can't live in chaos, this selective attention is part of her strength. It allows her to focus deeply, think clearly, and act intentionally. While others are scattered, overwhelmed, and anxious from information overload, she's operating in a higher gear, focused, calm, prepared. It's not that she doesn't care, it's that she refuses to be pulled in every direction. Sigma females don't mistake busyness for productivity or overstimulation for awareness. They know better. So when people ask how she always seems composed, how she stays calm while others spiral, it's not magic, it's boundaries, it's bandwidth. It's refusing to let everyone download their chaos into her system. 6. Microscope over megaphone. In a loud world, being quiet is radical. Sigma females don't need a megaphone to prove their point. They carry a microscope instead. They're not here to dominate the room, they're here to decode it. While others jump to conclusions, she takes her time. She zooms in, observes behavior, connects dots no one else sees. It's this deep analysis that gives her power, not brute force, not volume. She doesn't speak to impress. She speaks when she's processed the data. That's why her words hit harder. They're filtered, distilled, and intentional. One sentence from her can silence a room not because it's loud, but because it's true. This microscope mindset applies everywhere. In friendships, work, family dynamics, even romance. She watches, she reads the subtext, she notices what people don't say. That makes her immune to surface-level charm or manipulation. You can't fool someone who sees under the surface. Sigma females don't expose what they know unless it's necessary. That can make them seem distant, but it's actually high-level discernment. They know the value of timing. The right insight at the wrong moment is just noise. But when a Sigma speaks at the right moment, game over. While others broadcast constantly trying to prove they're important, she moves in silence and becomes essential. 7. The No Club Club. Belonging is overrated, at least for the Sigma female. She doesn't need to be part of a movement, a label, or a group identity to feel whole. In fact, the moment everyone starts marching in one direction, she steps back. Not to rebel, but to assess, to ask, is this me, or just mass hypnosis? Sigma females have a rare kind of inner anchoring. They're not running from loneliness, nor are they allergic to community. They simply don't confuse being surrounded with being supported, and they refuse to trade authenticity for inclusion. That's why they're often described as outsiders. But that term misses the truth. They're not outside because they're left out. They walked out on purpose. They value their independence too much to dilute it for approval. Being in the No Club means you're free to shift, to grow, to change your mind without having to consult a collective. It means you're not locked into tribal loyalty or performative alliances. And that kind of mental freedom, it's rare and dangerous to any system that thrives on blind loyalty. This doesn't mean they're cold. Sigma females often have a few deep, ride-or-die bonds. But even those are formed slowly, earned over time, and built on mutual respect, not convenience. They choose solitude not because they hate people, but because they love themselves enough not to pretend. You'll never catch a Sigma female wearing a mask just to fit in a room. If the room requires that, she'll redesign the building. 8. Discomfort is a compass. Most people run from discomfort like it's a fire. Sigma females walk toward it like it's a signal. Because for them, discomfort often marks a truth boundary, a sign that something real is waiting to be uncovered. They don't crave chaos, but they don't fear it either. They've learned that growth doesn't come from cozy habits and soft routines. It comes from tension, from stretch, from asking questions no one wants to answer. When something feels off, they don't ignore it. They interrogate it. Emotional discomfort. It could mean an old belief system is dying. Social discomfort. Maybe a relationship isn't aligned anymore. Internal resistance. Possibly a sign that a breakthrough is near. That mindset gives them an edge. While others back down from the hard stuff, Sigma females lean in. They do the journaling, the cutting off, the deep, messy healing. And they do it not for Instagram clout, but because it's necessary. They treat discomfort as data, as intelligence, as raw material for transformation. That's why they evolve faster. Not because they're better, but because they're braver in the places most people avoid. This doesn't mean they love suffering. It means they respect the process. They know that if it's uncomfortable, it's probably important. 9. Success in stealth mode. You'll never see a Sigma female post a motivational thread at 3 a.m. about how she's grinding in silence. She doesn't talk about the grind, she does it. That's the difference. Her success doesn't come with confetti. It comes quietly, like a storm you didn't see coming. While others are broadcasting plans, she's building foundations. Her motto isn't "watch me," it's "you'll see." This stealth mode isn't about secrecy, it's about focus. Sharing too early can dilute momentum. That's why she moves behind the scenes. She's not afraid to be invisible for a while, if that's what it takes to make something real. Sigma females don't need applause to stay motivated. They're driven by vision, not validation. That means they don't get thrown off by slow seasons. They're not posting about trusting the process. They're in the process. And when the results come, they speak louder than any caption. People often say things like, "Wow, I didn't even know you were working on that." Exactly. That's the point. Stealth mode gives them an edge in a noisy world. It protects their energy. It keeps haters guessing. It lets them pivot, evolve, and adjust without external pressure. They're not hiding. They're strategizing. And by the time the world sees what they've built, it's already bulletproof. 10. They don't mirror. They magnetize Sigma. Females don't mirror what's around them. They radiate what's within. Most people subconsciously adjust to the energy in the room. But a Sigma sets the tone without even trying. That's why people find them magnetic, even when they say very little. While others study what's trending to stay relevant, Sigma women are cultivating what's real. They don't chase aesthetics, they live through alignment. They don't mimic behavior to blend in, they stand still and let others recalibrate around them. This is a form of quiet power. It's not performative or attention-seeking. It's the natural consequence of deep authenticity. When someone is so rooted in their identity that external noise doesn't sway them, it creates a gravitational pull. People try to decode them, copy them, even resent them. Why? Because it's easier to mimic confidence than to develop it. Sigma females remind others of the freedom they haven't claimed yet. That can be inspiring or intimidating. But here's the twist. Sigma women don't care whether they're admired or misunderstood. They're not here to be liked. They're here to be real. That's what makes their presence unforgettable. They don't walk into a room looking for mirrors. They become the mirror and often reveal things people weren't ready to see. 11th, fear is not a governor. Fear exists for everyone. The difference? Sigma females don't let it steer. They'll feel it, analyze it, respect it, but they don't obey it. They know fear is not always a signal to stop. Sometimes it's a compass pointing toward something important. That job they're scared to apply for, that conversation they've been avoiding, that move they keep delaying. Those are growth zones, not danger zones. Most people wait for fear to disappear before they act. Sigma females act with fear in the passenger seat. They've trained themselves to move anyway. That's what separates them from the crowd. They also don't dramatize their fears. You won't see them spiraling or self-victimizing. Instead, they journal, reflect, regulate, strategize. Then they take the next small step, quietly and relentlessly. Fear doesn't shrink their dreams. It sharpens their focus. They're not trying to be fearless. They're just refusing to be paralyzed. This mindset shows up in business, in relationships, in health, in self-expression. When others say, "I could never do that," the Sigma female simply says, "I'm doing it anyway." That's not recklessness. That's courage in its most elegant form. 12th, validation. Blackout. Sigma females don't outsource their self-worth. That's why they're so dangerous to any system that relies on attention, applause, or approval to keep people in line. They don't post to be praised. They don't speak to be liked. They don't dress to be noticed. Every decision is run through one filter. Does this feel like me? This creates a kind of internal silence, a stillness that's rare in a world addicted to being seen. It's not that they don't enjoy recognition, it's just never the goal. They've unhooked themselves from the performance loop, the endless chase for hearts, likes, validation, and belonging. That's why they're often described as unbothered. Not because they're indifferent, but because they've already approved of themselves. Validation blackout also makes them immune to manipulation. You can't pressure someone who doesn't crave your approval. You can't control someone who doesn't need your permission. That's real power, and it scares people. Sigma females understand that identity built on feedback is fragile. That's why they invest in solitude, in journaling, in creative expression, in spiritual grounding. They build inner foundations no one can shake. They don't seek validation, they become it. So, Sigma ladies, now you know why we don't follow the crowd. It's not arrogance, it's not rebellion, it's design. We were wired to question, to observe, to build in silence, and to rise without waiting for applause. We don't follow footprints, we leave our own. If this hit home, smash that subscribe button. This isn't content, it's calibration. And if you'd like to fuel what we're building here, you can buy me a coffee. Links in the description and pinned comment. Your support keeps this movement raw, real, and caffeinated. Until next time, stay strange, stay sovereign, and don't just walk different, think different. Because the world's loud, but our silence, it echoes longer.